Peace, family. It's your girl, Lani G, the CEO and founder of Loving the Journey with Lani G, and I am here to talk to you about being the liberator in your family. Okay, we're going to get into it in a second, but I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am and what it is that I do. So I'm a spiritual mentor and intuitive healer for Black women. I teach Black women, I help Black women learn who they are, what they need, and how to align with their life's vision. And I'm on a mission to empower 1 million millennial Black women to love themselves fully and out loud in order to live liberated. And I do this work through my mentorship programs, through my workshops, through right now, what it is I'm talking, like sharing space with you. And I really want to thank you for sharing your valuable asset of time with me today for just, a few minutes as we get into the vibe. And as we understand, more of what this healing journey looks like. So I really want to share my own experience. I share in my programs and things like that, the value of sharing stories and how when we share our experiences with one another, it's very validating for another person, especially when we're on this sometimes ridiculously lonely healing journey. So I want to give you some insight into what my experience has been being, the Black sheep of the family in a way that wasn't traditional. So in case anyone relates, and also just to give you some insight into how you can better support yourself and have some more understanding, right? So I've always felt like an outsider within my family, even though they uplifted me for my intelligence as far as I got 2 degrees, they all came to my graduations, both you feel me? And I felt very supported in that way. But in regards to who I am and just my individuality and being my own unique self, I always just felt like an other, not only in my family, but also in other spaces, in school, in, my early friendships and things that were happening in my life, early relationships, just relationships in general, I felt very much like an other. But specifically within the family, there is this idea and notion that I believe to be true that if you are the Black sheep in your family, you are one of the liberators in your family. And it's really important to embrace this title, embrace this role, and embrace this energy so that you can show up more confidently as you navigate your healing journey. I'll say again for myself, I was the first person in my family that I know of to start talking about actively healing my wounds and really bringing up the things that were affecting me and how that played a role in my relationship with my family. I was one of the first to completely do something different, like practice yoga regularly and consistently, journaling and deciding to have a plant-based diet. I went balls deep into the plant-based diet, okay? And at the time, my family was actively rejecting all of those things. They were like, absolutely not, ma'am. And I want to give you some insight into why that happened. So if you are experiencing any of these things, not saying you're making those exact decisions that I made, but on your healing journey, you're going to be called. If this is for you, you're going to be called to do some things that will cause your family to actively reject you. And it's not about you. So I just want to affirm you in that. It's not about you, ma'am. It's not about you. It's about what it is that you are bringing out within them. And disclaimer to if any of my family ever watches this video, no shade. Okay, some of these things are generalized and other things are specific to me, and I'm not going to do the work to specify which is which. But it's really important to know that, our families, everybody projects their reality onto other people. And so if someone, for instance, is out here being confidently themselves and you really struggle with your own confidence, you would be like, ugh, why she thinks she can do all of that? In our shadow selves, which is normal, we will reject what it is that we see in other people that we actually desire to embody ourselves. And so this is why you should be more confident, because for some people, they still gonna hate, right? Not even knowing they're actively hating. They're just thinking like, oh my God, ew. And for others, you will liberate them. So in liberating yourself, choosing your own liberation, choosing yourself, choosing to live in alignment with your desires, you are also going to liberate other people. And so not saying that you should be doing this for them, but realize that it's bigger than you. So one thing that I definitely struggled with was I was taking a lot of shit personally. Okay, I was like, this is about me. You don't like me. And it's not me, it's what I represent. You can represent all the capabilities that somebody wish they could do, right? So I've had a family member definitely actively have a problem with me, and I have no idea why to this day. And my only conclusion, in talking with another relative as well, is that I represent all that they wish they could do if they would apply themselves to their lives. And that's a choice. That's a choice. So like I said, some people will accept, the liberation, and in time, right? Everybody not gonna get on the train when you ring the bell, all right? Other people will be like, I'm gonna wait till the next one come around. Other people won't even enter the train station. Do you get me? Are you following this analogy? Could be a little difficult. Sometimes I'll be going places and I don't know if it makes sense, but it making sense to me. Okay. But ultimately, this happens because when we are, actively going against what it is that our families are doing, we are challenging a system. And, we live in America, so we know what systems are like, and we know what it looks and feels like to challenge a system. You're seen as the crazy person. You're seen as the one who could be like, why would we even try doing something like that? It wouldn't even work. All the questions come up as to why would you even do that? It don't even make sense. So you may start to feel like your reality, your thought process are being challenged, when in reality, they're just challenging what you are challenging about them. Again, hoping this is making sense. I'm honestly going to blame everything on Mercury retrograde happening, because cannot compute sometimes right now, like literally devices, everything. But it's not really about what is good or bad. And so what it can feel like to people, because I've also been on the other end of this as well, when someone was constantly doing what it is they wanted to do, liberating themselves, I also was like, I'm not really messing with that. And because what it can feel like is, oh, you think that's a better way to live. You think you're better than me. And have we ever heard this? I hear this from my clients all the time. I hear this in general from the Black women healing community, that there is this energy from other people challenging us and saying, oh, you think you better. You think you better because you do this. You think you better. And it's not that. I think this is a better way for me to live my life. And that's when it's all about you. So taking some time to, one, release this notion that it's all about you, in the sense of taking it personally when they may attack or, make fun of or disrespect the way you live your life now. Choosing your liberation doesn't mean that people are going to like it, especially those that you might value or hold most close to you. But what the process is, what a helpful process is and has been for me, is first deciding, making the choice that I'm going to do what's best for me no matter what. And then getting confident within your choice before you start to broadcast it to other people. So, because we know, Black families, they can question you. They will ask you all the questions under the sun. Why you do that? What's that? What's that about? Tell me something about that. Well, all the things, all the things. And so if you're not feeling ready or confident enough to share that about yourself and be questioned, one, or you haven't learned how to set boundaries around, I'm not going to talk to you about this right now. It's very important for you to take some time, write it in your journal, meditate on it, let it resonate within your spirit. So that when you say this, you cannot be swayed, right? You have decided that this is what I'm going to do, and there's nothing that can be done or said about it. This is who I am, and this is what I'm doing now. And also knowing that you can change your mind. Okay, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. So you are doing what's best for you, making that decision. And so I was reading a book today, one of the You Are a Badass books by Jen Sincero, and she was talking about deciding literally means to cut off. Like the root of that word is, derived from Latin, and it means to cut off. So like other decisions would mean that you would be choosing those other things. So not making a backup plan, like, well, if they don't like it, then I'm gonna do this. Or if this is not accepted, this is actually what I'm gonna do. No, I'm going to decide, meaning all other options are obsolete. They are not possible. I am doing this. So go all in on your new lifestyle, sis. Do what's best for you. So make that decision, get confident in your decision within yourself, and then decide to share that if you so choose. You don't have to. It will be a little bit more difficult for those of you who live with family. I definitely lived with family when I was making a lot of different transitions as far as like what I ate, what are the things that I practiced, start burning ancestor money around my family. My mom's Christian. My other family members were not Christian, but still was like, what are you doing? What is that? And I was like, I don't know. This is just what I feel called to do. So it's a little difficult when you're living with family, but set your boundaries, okay? So before you get into the point, maybe where you're going to be burning ancestor money, if that's your choice, get grounded in your truth about it. Do your research about it. Feel good about it, you know? And so the last thing is that understanding with everything in you, that you may not see the impact of your choice to live liberated. So some of us do this with the hopes that our family, like our immediate family, you know, those that you grew up around, or even those distant cousins or whoever, sometimes you feel like, well, I'm doing this so that we can all get it together now. And sometimes that's not gonna happen. So I want you to have that understanding. And then sometimes you have a magical moment where maybe years later, you know, in your lifetime, you see the shift. You see the impact of you choosing to liberate yourself. You know, it can be within your conversations with family. It can be, you know, it can be a host of things. I'll give an example. So I started to go to therapy in college, and my mom, before I went to college, I was telling her about my mental health issues. I didn't know that's what it was called, because, you know, in a Black family, we don't really talk about all that, right? But I was actively told, you know, you are not white. You don't do that. I was having, trigger warning, I was having suicidal thoughts, and I shared those with her. And I don't come from my mama, by the way, but she literally was like, you are not white. We don't do that. And so that was not really a conversation that went anywhere. Very unhealthy for me in dealing with my suicidal thoughts at the time. And so when I went to college, I finally, you know, had this free resource available, started going to therapy, telling my family about it, telling my mom about it. She still was actively rejecting the notion that we needed therapy. And then now, I think last year, she had went to therapy for the first time. She still calls him the head doctor. But, you know, one small step for man, large step for humankind. Is that the quote? I don't know, y'all. But let me know if that's the quote in the comments. But anyway, I feel joy for that, because I know my mother and a lot of other Black mothers, especially single Black mothers that were raising kids back 29 years ago, need therapy. We all need therapy, ultimately. We all need therapy. And so that is the work. That is the liberation. That is the magical moment that happens when we decide to heal ourselves. We heal our families. So remember that. Remember that when you taking it to the chin, okay? Take it to the chin with pride, all right? And set your boundary around what you will or will not talk about. I've definitely done that as well. When I was being triggered, I'm not gonna sit here and let you keep on triggering me or disrespecting me. I'm gonna say, this is not what I would like to talk about right now. And we're gonna change the subject, or I'm gonna leave the room, you know? So you're gonna have to figure it out. And so learning to set boundaries is really also powerful. But ultimately, I wanted to just empower you and remind you that just because you have felt like the outsider does not mean you will not find your people. Your people are right here. I will definitely say this for sure. In my retreat last year, I felt so deeply connected to my newfound sisters when I didn't have to repeat myself or explain what it is that I meant. I just said what I said, and they said, I heard it. I felt it in my spirit, and I received what it is that you said. And that is a beautiful thing to experience. So I invite you to stay in community here. You know, if you want to embrace this community or experience this community more intimately, definitely apply for my program. By the time this video drops, it will be, you have 1 day left before the applications close. So get your application in. And, you know, find your people. And that your call to action today is to find your people. And that can mean you literally deciding what your people feels like. What do they look like? I guess not what they look like, but if you want Black people, you're gonna know what they look like. You know, really getting clear on that. Because before I found my tribe, I was like, I want my friends to feel like sisters. I want our experiences to be like this. I got clear. I told the universe what I want. So you got to tell the universe what you want. So decide what it is that you want. So take your first step on calling in your tribe today, because you are not alone. That is the point of me sharing this with you today. You are not alone, even though you may feel alone with the people that have known you the best, right? They may not know you anymore. You may not know you anymore. And that's okay. So find your community, I'm here for you. There's a lot of other people here for you. So stay over here, stay in the family, and like this video if it provided you any sort of valuable content or information. Subscribe to the channel so you can stay in community. Turn on that post bell notification so I know. My bad, not so I know, so you know when I drop future videos. And drop a comment, let me know what most resonated with you. And if you have any questions, anything you want me to go deeper into talking about, definitely drop it in the comments and I will address it in a future video. So thank you again for sharing your valuable time with me. I appreciate you and I will see you tomorrow. You know, if this is, yeah, I will see you tomorrow because this video is not dropping on the weekend. Okay, all right, see you tomorrow. Peace.